Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, and we are ready for another night here in the Critical Blast Cavern to talk with somebody about creating comics. So tonight, our special guest is Luke Stone, who is working on a compendium graphic novel of Hybrid, the Sons of Gods. And that's hard to say, not wanting to stop at the singular, so I'm going to stumble on that a bit. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, RJ. So thanks for having me on. It's fun to be here tonight. So
glad to do it. So before we dig into your comic book, because we want to let people come into the chat and learn about it and not miss anything, what is it you love about comics in the first place? Why is this something that you want to work in?
I've loved comics ever since I was a little kid. There's just something about the medium, being able to tell stories with pictures, and I've always loved art and those kind of things. So being able to kind of bring those creative worlds together, it just was always really appealing to me, even at a young age. So
do you remember the first comics that you were reading that just drew you in?
I do. I do. So I used to be back in 1985, I was a big fan of He-Man. Well, let me go back. In 1983, my mom and dad used to take me out to this little diner, and they would hang out with their friends until 3:00 in the morning. So starting about that age, they would hand me a napkin and a pen to kind of entertain myself. So I would just doodle. Well, over time, my art started to get better, really started to get into it. And one of the things that I really liked was He-Man. I was a big He-Man fan, which, fun side note, I actually just got to meet John Celestria a few days ago, and it was really nice to be able to get to meet him. And I was like, dude, like your work kind of shaped, it was kind of the gateway drug into comics for me, So my dad had some friends, they knew that I was into, trying to draw and stuff like that. I liked He-Man, and they said, well, maybe they'll like these comics. And so he sent some comics home with my dad. And I remember getting a hold of this Mike Zeck did a run of Secret War comics back in the mid 80s. Yeah. And I got a hold of those. And I remember seeing the cover, I think it was issue 4. I think maybe it was issue 3, where the Hulk is holding up the earth. There's like all this dirt, rock, and the Hulk is holding that up and saving all these heroes. And I remember thinking, man, that is really cool. That one hero, that one guy saving all those other heroes. And man, I read that book and read it. Well, I was barely learning. I was learning to read, so it's like it helped me with the reading. It helped me with the pictures. But I remember I used to lay for years. I would try to copy those pictures. I would lay paper over it and try to trace it. And then after I got done tracing, I would look and it's like, okay, well, how can I copy it? Draw the same picture without tracing it, but just looking at it. And then I moved on from there, trying to get like actual muscle magazines, trying to say, how can I draw people to look more realistic, and all that kind of stuff. And so
I was a teenager, maybe about 13 or 14, when that same issue of Secret Wars came out. I was following that series like crazy. There were no comic shops when I grew up. The direct market hadn't quite come out yet, but I could still get them at grocery stores. So I was the guy who would go to the grocery store, and Secret Wars was one of the ones that they carried all the issues of as they came out. I'd find the best one, and I'd bend the corner on like the other 10 because that was going to affect the market, and I'd have the only net one. But what I remember of that issue was, the Hulk's getting angry holding this mountain up while Reed Richards is trying to work something out to get them out. And I remember he got Spider-Man's web shooters, and he was, Spider-Man's like, what do you mean web shooters? I don't what web shooters? Well, I'm Spider-Man. I just shoot webs. He's like, I know you built something here that does this thing. I need to look at it. Yeah. And when Reed was impressed with the technology, it made people start questioning, why is Peter Parker taking pictures for a newspaper instead of working for some science lab somewhere and making millions on patents?
Yeah. Yeah. But exactly. But a great series,
Yeah.
So I grew up, my big time for comics was in the 90s. And so I fell in love with the work of all of those, the Jim Lees, the
Image
Todd
Pack.
McFarlane, the Image Pack, even Rob Liefeld, I liked him. I still like his stuff, it's a little wonky at times, but he's he's a good artist. But
They grew. They grew.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, most of my comic reading was in the 70s. Not some, most of it. That's when I got into it, was in the 70s. I was actually reading. I was reading in kindergarten, and nobody knew it. So it was like, because I kept my mouth shut. I was like, well, yeah, this is reading. Everybody can read. So, didn't think it was anything worth announcing. It wasn't until first grade they found out I could read anything that I put my eyes on, and then it got weird. But that was all because of comic books. So, my son today, I've made sure he's always armed with comic books to read. Now, he prefers Archie over superheroes, but he wants real stuff. He doesn't like reading fiction all that much. He likes reading manuals. So, but you said you eventually started copying what you were doing, drawing and tracing, and then just trying to reproduce side by side.
Yeah. Then I started eventually making my own. I remember it was, I was in junior high hanging out with my friend Hilton Turner, which recently reconnected with him on Facebook, which is really cool. But he and I, we used to sit there and make up our characters and argue over whose characters would win in a fight. And that's how we would, every day just kind of work and developing our characters a little bit more and the story and stuff like that. So just all that kind of stuff. I remember my first comic I drew it was called F Dome, Future Defenders of Modern Earth. And man, it was terrible. I drew it on thick construction paper, white, like thick paper. And I did it with pastels because I didn't know anything about making comics. So I drew it and then colored it with pastels, and I was trying to get it copied to make a book out of it. And they're like, I just had no idea what I was doing, but it was, I had that passion for it and I just wanted to do it so bad.
Pastels are the hot thing now.
They are. Yeah. And so I was ahead of the game by 30 years.
I mean, even the poster you got behind you of your work is, you've got that light fuchsia going in the background there. It's,
I do, yeah. Yeah,
that's the hot color now for some reason.
It really is. And I kind of like those like pastel-y looks now too. But it was kind of funny that I used the actual pastels to paint to color my book.
A man ahead of your time.
Yeah.
So eventually though, you started making real comic books.
I did. Well, where I grew up, there was one comic book shop and not a lot of people read comics. So showing people my comic book work and things, it was like showing people that were so disinterested. But people were really into music. And so I remember picking up guitar, learning to play, learning to sing. And I felt like that was an artistic expression that people would enjoy. And so I still was drawing comics and would do that from time to time. Whenever I found someone that shared my passion or love for it, I wasn't a writer yet. I was just an artist. And so I would try to draw people's comics. And so I drew a few comics over the years, a couple that were, published, overseas and things like that through a brokerage. Nothing major, and it wasn't until 2014 that I really decided to start doing comics as a serious thing. And so it was, there was this event that took place. I was like, hey, it's time to do comics. And so I had produced probably 3 or 4 different comics during the majority of my 20s, kind of leading up to that, from like 2000 to 2010, did a few things, but it was 2014 that really got me hooked in comics, going back into it.
So you were producing the comics before this whole crowdfunding thing came along. It's not, I think there's a lot of people who see comics being crowdfunded and think I can do that. And whereas you were doing that and you say, oh, I found another way I can do that.
Yeah, actually there were not even print on demand places. So like we had to find it. It was really expensive to do it. I was I started out with Photoshop 5. So I was one of the first people to do lettering for a comic on the computer. And so I would still draw digitally, regular, like traditionally, and then scan everything and put it in. And then I remember when I found out about Kablam.com, and I was like, whoa, we can print on demand. And it was really expensive. So we did a few of those, but when crowdfunding came up, man, it was a whole other story, especially like 2015 when we're trying to launch a company, so it changed the game. Really. It really gave us another opportunity to be able to get the comics into people's hands.
So what kind of a success? I mean, you've obviously done 5 books that are, being compiled into this one. What kind of success did you find when you moved to crowdfunding?
Well, right off the gate, so 2014, I really had this notion to really do it. A friend of mine, Gary Dale, his brother Jeremy, who was a comic book artist, he worked for IDW, did some different stuff. He wound up passing away in late 2014, and it really kind of shook all of us because he was one of the guys from the groups that did comics. So I always wanted to, but as long as one of us from the group did it, would be fine. So that was kind of the thing. But when he passed away, he was just he was my age actually, and it kind of shook us, it shook us a bit. And so I decided I was going to really dig in. And so my first endeavor was to try to get published through somewhere else. And that didn't work out too well because I wasn't very good. And I was really green. I didn't know what I was doing really yet. And so I decided that I was going to start my own company and we were going to help teach each other. So we found a whole bunch of people that were really good at certain things. And we just helped teach each other to get a little bit better so we can make a better comic. And in that, we're like, well, how are we going to sell this? Like, how are we going to pay for printing? How are we going to do for this? And that was 2015. We're like, well, maybe we can start promoting this other, there's this thing called Kickstarter. And a couple people have been pretty successful on there. Maybe we could try to kickstart the book, and so we decided to try out this Kickstarter thing. And our first couple of comics, with all of our work combined efforts together, were really successful. Like they started to crowdfund right away. I had one that didn't crowdfund, but that was before we got the company working. And then I relaunched it and it wound up funding. And so there were all kind of smaller numbers, $700, $800, $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, that kind of stuff. But that consistent growth and understanding, okay, well, here's how you crowdfund, here's how you figure that out. And then here's how you draw a comic, here's how you edit it, all that stuff that goes around with making a comic. So as the comics got better, we got better at promoting. I had to take about 2 years off because I'm actually a full-time pastor. So when I was, there were some things going on at the church. I just needed full-time attention.
Well,
so
that's priority.
Yeah, it was priority. So I just I said, hey guys, I'm going to step away. I'm going to still draw if I can, but we put somebody else in charge of the company. He wound up taking a bunch of money from everybody and taking the money from these Kickstarters. And and so after we got that all sorted out,
Stephanie Cook situation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so myself and one of the creators wound up funding, we wound up getting some of the money back. Not all of the money, but we did our best to fulfill that campaign. And so we got that done. And I was like, and I'm out. I can't focus on both things at the same time. So I really buckled down and focused on what was going on at the church. So we got that settled out. But during that time, I hooked up with a company called Starcross Comics, who was really interested in the Hybrids, the Sons of Gods thing. And so I had another book that I thought was my main title. This was a backup thing. I didn't know if anyone was going to like it, but they wound up picking this up, and I re-released the first issue, and I had the second issue finished before the company quit, but we never released it. So I released those 2 issues. Didn't think I was going to do anything with it. And then one day I get a message, hey, are you going to do any more issues? Because these are selling pretty good. I have to get reprints and stuff like that. I'm like, are you serious? Things had settled down. And so I was like, well, let's try it again. And so I went out issue 3, issue 4, not real successful with the crowdfunding for issue 3, but I paid for it anyway. Made it happen. Issue 4, mildly successful. By the time I hit issue 5, things had started to blow up, and I had a really successful campaign there. And so kind of learning that process, and all of that was on Kickstarter. Some of it we tried to do on Indiegogo, but most of it was Kickstarter success. So,
okay. So that's the 5 issues now that are being compiled into the Indiegogo trade paperback here. If I'm correct.
That's absolutely true.
I have that pulled up here.
Look there.
Right now you're at $22.91, just about halfway to the $5,000 goal, and just about half of the days used. So that's not bad. I'm assuming you got a 30-day extension still left in you.
Yeah, I still got a 30-day extension. So we're 10 days into it, so I've got about 5 more days till we're at that halfway mark. And we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. I see a lot of campaigns where, of course, obviously, I'd like to go a little bit more. Now, the good thing about this is everything's paid for, everything's except for production. The extra money that we're raising is to kind of speed up the process to get the next arc out, because I'm working with a new editor to get the next arc going with this too. So there's way more story
arc, I would guess.
Yeah, there's still more story to tell. So there's at least 10 more issues in me. At least I don't know any more about that. But.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the characters then, and what kind of a world this is here for hybrids, the sons of gods, because there are women in there.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they're not sons. So
no, they're daughters.
That's the first thing I would question.
Yeah.
And secondly, I probably not the point in the conversation to get to it yet, but I'd like to know how you marry up being a full-time pastor and writing about gods.
Okay.
In the lowercase g multiple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But so let's talk about who they are first.
All right. So let me explain the title so you can kind of understand it. So have you ever heard of a creature called the Nephilim?
Absolutely.
Okay, a lot of people do, and I feel like here's what I'm going to try to do, RJ. I'm going to try to not go into the same spiel that I do for all of these videos. We're going to have a conversation about it, so it's a little different. So anyone that goes back and listens to it, anybody that's watching it now, will be like, I heard him say that an hour ago on Malin's show.
Yeah, I hear you.
I want to give you something different. So you're familiar with the Nephilim. Most people that have heard my pitch are familiar with who the Nephilim are.
Yeah, there were giants in the land.
Yeah, giants in the land. And so they were angel-human hybrids. And so that's where we get the title hybrids from, angel-human hybrids. Now, here's the really cool thing. As I was researching the Nephilim, it turns out that the historical writings of the Nephilim predate the Greek gods by about 1,500 years. And people actually think the Greek gods were just exaggerations of those real-life Nephilim. So that's where we get the sons of gods, because these are the genetic offspring of the Greek gods. So hybrids, the sons of gods.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's where we get that title. It's my wife said, what do you call it this? Because I had a whole bunch of different. My original title was Hybrid Nation, and I'm like, that just doesn't sound right. It sounds goofy. I was really struggling with like what it was about, and I just wanted to create a kind of this idea, this world of like what these people were, and I wanted to also tie in the fact that it was related to the Greek gods. It was related, it's related to ancient aliens and all that fun stuff too. Turns out there's this little string that just ties all of that together. So
they're going to tie back to the Anunnaki and.
Oh yeah. So like all of that. So think about this. So if the Nephilim were really the inspiration for the Greek gods, which means there was a Mount Olympus, which means there was an Atlantis. We even tie into the idea that, there are, I've read the book of Enoch, all three, and they have reference and stuff to technology that's far beyond our own. And so we even tie back into the Tower of Babel. Would God really truly do what he did if someone was just building a big rock tower? No,
people were united. That was the threat.
Yeah. But people can be united to build a rock tower, and it's not going to be a big deal. There was something else to it. And so we kind of dig into that, like what could it be? And, and so some of those things tie together. If you look about all these ancient aliens with the hieroglyphics and things like that in caves and pyramids, and how this technology was shared between all these different groups of people that weren't connected in any way. So what could have caused that? You think about Columbus with his voyage to America, when he talks about this thing that came and flickered like a candle come up from the water beside the ship and then ascend back into the deep.
Sure.
So all of these kind of things all tend to lend towards, and some people don't believe the aliens come from outer space. They actually think, they found like underwater runways. And so they believe the aliens are actually, because there's so much of the ocean that we haven't observed.
Yeah, you marry all that up with Dag and Dagon and the Dog Star.
Yes, and so you get it. So there's this
whole
shows.
I've been there.
Yeah, so there's this whole world that just kind of strings together piece after piece, and you could all trace it back to this thing. The sons of God saw the daughters of men, and they took them as their brides. And I'm thinking about that, it all comes back to that. And in the book of Enoch, it talks about these things called these angels called the Watchers. And it's all attributed back to this one particular angel that decided to encourage the mess. And he was also the one that taught man how to kill each other, like really taught war and weapons of destruction and things like that, where another one would teach, medical science, one would teach other things, astronomy, things like that. And so it really interesting in how that all plays out. And so about 10-ish years ago, I was having a conversation with a pastor mentor friend of mine, and we would talk about those weird things and tie all of those things together about aliens and all that stuff. And he goes, this would make a really good comic book. And I go, yeah, it would. And he knew I loved making comics. I was working on one with with a friend of ours that worked at the church. And he goes, you know what, you should make this a comic book. And so I started researching to like, how can I turn this idea of the Nephilim into a modern day hero or a modern day thing? But I didn't want it to just be people got powers, because, that happens all the time. That's lame.
That's boring. That's a super team.
Yeah, that's a super team. And everybody's got their people that gets powers. And I didn't want to spend time talking about that. What I really wanted to think about was, why would people be getting powers out of nowhere? Who could cause it? Why would they cause it? And so what we do in this is basically someone starts to figure out how to make people have powers, how to wake up this recessive Nephilim DNA that's in some people. It's not in everybody, it's just in some people. And so when they do this, they actually start to abduct these individuals. And so we have a small group of heroes that have to try to figure out, number one, who's taking them. Then, if they can, why they're taking them. And most importantly, because they have some family that's been taken, where are they being kept? And so really, this whole first arc, you are introduced to a guy who gets his powers for the first time, has no idea what's going on. He has someone coming to try to abduct him, but then another team steps in and saves him. During that process, he starts to learn about himself. He starts to learn about the other things that are going on. And then you find out that there's like, this thing is way widespread, and there's a whole lot of things going on with that. And you see that they need to get in and rescue some people. So it's basically a small rescue attempt that leads to a massive rescue attempt. So that's kind of the whole first 5 issues, without giving away any major spoilers.
Okay. Let's take a look at those tiers then, because this is we'll start. You featured one is the $50 pack.
Yeah.
And there's a lot in that you're getting $50.
I like to throw a lot of stuff in there for people. And so, you get the standard cover, standard cover book. You get a bookmark. Now, I don't normally do bookmarks with floppies because, it takes 15 minutes to read a floppy, right?
Sure.
But this is 128 pages. So you might need a bookmark. So I'm throwing that in. I've got a bracelet. I've got a sticker pack, which as we start to hit different backer tiers and numbers of backers, we start to throw in those extra stickers into the sticker pack. And then we've got a mini poster set, the classic mini poster set. And then I have a trading card set that I put in there as well. So you get all of that. Yeah.
Now, a trading card set with a book like this, this is where I think this actually makes sense, because you do have a multitude of characters.
Yes.
And it would make sense to have a card for each one of them and show kind of like stats and maybe a little history on it.
Yeah.
Usually when I see people doing trading cards, I always stand on my soapbox and say, none of you guys are doing this right. And by what I mean by I know you're on Malin's channel. I don't know if you call yourself Comicsgate officially, or are you just... I am officially Comicsgate. I actually came out... we got Sunday come up. It'll be 3 weeks Sunday. Okay.
3 weeks Sunday, yeah.
I am pro Comicsgate. I'm pro DC. I'm pro Marvel. If you're making a comic book, I'm pro what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm usually against people who bully. So that's...
There you go. Me too.
That's where I end up with, if I see somebody giving somebody a hard time, I'm like, hey, they're not doing anything. Leave them alone. And then I stand up for them. So that's why I end up being pro Comicsgate. But I see all these Comicsgate campaigns where they're doing a trading card. And I'm like, isn't part of Comicsgate supposed to be that we all help each other, build each other up? And if that's the case, why don't you get 9 different campaigns to approach an artist and say, hey, draw us up a 3x3 9-card picture of all our characters in a grid where when it's cut, each one ends up on its own trading card. And with our campaign, we will give away our trading card with a tier, and everybody else gives away their trading card with a tier. And when people figure out that, it's a 9-card puzzle, just like the X-Men Fleer sets were doing back in the 90s when you put them in the sleeve, then they pick up, hybrids, and they pick up Cyberfrog or whatever. And then they're like, hey, I got 2 out of 9. Where are these other 7? Oh, they're in these campaigns. Well, now I want to go check out these campaigns not because I heard about the comic, but because I have to complete my card set.
Oh yeah, that's a fantastic idea, actually.
And then they get introduced to the comics.
Yeah.
I would, you could get 2 big name hitters in there, like Ethan Van Sciver and John Mayland, and then 7 other people who are not as well known get ride that rising tide that is created by that. But
yeah.
But that's that's what I do. I come up with big ideas that I have absolutely no power to make happen. And I say, somebody run with this. It's all yours. Take it. Go.
Yeah.
Go with God.
Yeah. Have fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we get the chance to pick up the floppies, though.
You can pick up the floppies too. So there was a couple of things that was brought to my attention. The first one was there's no cheap entry level for people. And so here's what's happening. If people want to just pick up the first issue so that they can get an idea about it, they can do that. But the other thing that I'm doing is as soon as you grab that perk, I'm sending you the PDF immediately, like right away, as soon as I get the notice. That way
PDF
you can
of the floppy or
the PDF of the floppy.
Okay.
That way you can read it and decide if you want to go ahead and get the entire book. So
even though you paid for a floppy, you're going to get a PDF back and say, here, before it gets to you, this is what we got.
Yeah, just in case they decide they want to go ahead and get the rest of the story.
Okay. Well, $5 is definitely a good entry point.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in it enough that I believe that as soon as they read it, they're going to want it. So.
Now I meant to cover this when we were up there earlier, but I kind of missed it because I kept looking at hybrids and Sons of Gods, and that was all of it. The book actually has a subtitle, Trash Day.
Yes, Trash Day.
So what's the meaning behind that?
Well, because we start out and it's the main. He's not the main character. This guy here in the picture behind me. He's not the main character, but he's the guy that we are introduced to the universe through. And so he's actually on the job, and he's a trash man, and he goes by trash man as his nickname. He doesn't like to be called by his real name. So
okay,
yeah, but he's an actual trash man, and so it's Trash Day. He's working when he gets interrupted by this attempted abduction, and so the whole arc is called Trash Day because it takes place over the course of just a couple of days, so this arc is Trash Day. I was going to call the next arc Love Lost, but I found a better name for it, so I'm going to call it The Killing Field. So we're going to have The Killing Field Part 1 through 5.
Nice title.
Oh yeah, I was like, ooh, that's good. So, and then we're gonna we have another arc, and so that one we'll have, and so each volume has its subtitle name. So Trash Day, because that is how we start out the story. And a lot of people are like, that's a weird name, and I'm like, I get it, but as soon as you read it, you'll understand. It's like, oh, because it's Trash Day.
All right. Just wanted to scroll back here and refresh here.
Oh, heck yeah.
We have gone up some.
We have. That's awesome.
BAP in the chat came in at the collector's tier. So that is
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That is the collector's pack of everything.
And I'll tell you what, you're number 45 on the clicker, right? So I'll throw in a little sketch for you too, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the second one of those claimed.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, you know what? I appreciate the $5 entry point because I like cheap entries, but the $25 one for the this is the digital trade.
Well, no, you will get the digital with it.
Oh, okay.
So you get the actual trade, you get the digital, and you get a bookmark.
Yeah, $25 is not really that.
It's
for the number of pages you're getting. It's 5 issues in one book. That's
it's 128 pages. Here's one of the things that I haven't really gotten into yet. I don't quite do the CG pricing. I do because I run a publishing company. So
Yeah.
we actually run like con pricing, like what could we sell this for at a convention, and so $25. Actually, it's $30 because all 5 issues would be 25, and we've actually put a bunch of extras in there, and so the page count would bring this thing up to about $30. And so that's our base pay, but our retail price. But yeah, we're knocking that down to 25 for this campaign, so people can get it, because we just want as many people to get it as possible.
Because I paid more than that for some 40-page prestige-bound books that were typical CG pricing. But again, we're talking, your publishing industry, which segue, thank you. So are we. And this is our newest book, The Devil You Know, which is 20 short stories, an anthology of different authors who are giving their take on meetings with, him,
the devil, the big bad,
Lucifer, sometimes just the devil. And it runs the gamut of, sometimes this far future thing where, okay, this is when the end of the world happens and this is how. And some of it's just, and one day the devil decided to walk through the hills of Kentucky and he came upon this man, that kind of a thing. So it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. In fact, once I got the cover back from the guy from Bo Books in Bulgaria. Belgravia is a city in Sherlock Holmes, I think. And I saw it. I'm like, you know what? We're going to do a sequel and another sequel. So there'll be The Devil You Know Better and The Devil You Know Best. And we're just told us, said, guys, keep that artwork because we're going to go like this. And then we're going to go
that's really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're just going to keep them that way.
So yeah, I just see that Bab said, yeah, it says that you're 48. But I don't know, something's up with that. As you can see, the clicker says 45. So anyway, you're going to get a sketch card. So
that is weird that it says 45 backers. I did see it go up by the 50. So
yeah, when
I refreshed,
yeah, it's been doing that. It kind of got off a little while ago, and I don't know why, but yeah. But yeah, Bap, I'm going to go ahead and send you a sketch card, which is rare because I don't do a whole lot of I'm a digital artist, so I don't do a whole lot of actual sketching.
So you're drawing this as well as writing it then?
Yeah. I'm both. I'm responsible for words and scribbles.
Well, that's the position to be in. If you can do both, that's how to get into this crowdfunding thing because you don't have to pay an artist up front and come up with all your own cash, which is what a writer has to do. And then you're already in the hole and you're trying to play catch up with your Indiegogo. Rather than saying, hey, let's actually fund the thing rather than, hey, let's pay the debt that we've accrued.
And that's why that's why I've got the goal that I've got is so that I can get ahead, because I do sometimes work with a layout artist, but I pay for my colors, I pay for my letters and things like that. So there is a lot, I pay my editor. People just do not understand the value of an editor.
Oh, believe me, as an editor, I completely understand that.
Yeah.
And sometimes the editor needs an editor. I've gone through 2 revisions already on this book that I'm like, oh, how did I miss that?
I know. I do some I editing. I'm not a copy editor by any means, so don't even keep me away from that. But I do some copy editing, and I have some other editors that work with me, and they always have to have an editor look over their stuff too, because it's
I hear you.
You're so close to it. It's easy to miss.
Oh yeah, because you just read right past it in your head because you already know what it says.
Yeah.
So also now, why in the world would you want to do this? You can get $25. You can get the graphic novel, or for $25 you can get all 5 floppies. Well, I guess if you like collecting the floppies.
I've had someone do that. They wanted the floppies, but they apparently didn't want all the extras that's going in there. I'm also putting in there's a lot of really cool commentary stuff, some creator notes that I'm putting into the book as well. So that they're going to miss out on all that, but they do get all 5 traditional floppies.
All 5 of the floppies. You never know. Number 2 might be first appearance of some character that takes off someday, and rather than having it in the trade paperback, you've got the issue where it happened.
Yeah, I also have an add-on where if you want, you can add on the floppies. And I'm going to later I've actually got to get a hold of my colors because I'm supposed to have some covers done. But I've got a set of connected covers that the artist that did the holofoil cover, he's done a set of 5 connected covers that will make a big panoramic. And so
I love those.
Yeah, so we're going to add that in as a tier and as an add-on tier. And so that you can add those on, or you could just go in and get those by themselves if you want. So
this is a really nice trade dress you've got going on here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nobody ever talks about the trade dress on books, but
yeah. Well, we wanted to be, Terraform Comics is fairly new. We've just started up a couple months ago, and this is our first major release as the company. And so we pay attention to all those stuff. And Eric Hodson is our art director. And so he came up with the logo. I came up with that trade dress, but we kind of worked together to make sure it looked good. And so the two of us worked together on that. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the logo just now too, because, logos, this isn't a matter of going out to defont.com and finding something that looks cool.
Yeah.
Because these are all unique to your title, or they should be unique to your title.
Mm-hmm.
This shouldn't be something that somebody can reproduce immediately. Now, when it's really cool, somebody's going to copy your font and make it reproducible. That's how I can write things in Avengers fonts, like the title card that I did for this video.
Yeah. What's fun is, so I actually come up with the hybrids, the Sons of God's logo, and the Terraform logo Eric came up with. But that hybrids one, basically how I did that is I was typing through and checking different fonts, and I found one that had those weird gradient kind of lines on it. And I was like, that looked really cool if I did something like that on either side of it and made it look more, like that. And so that's what I come up with.
And then you got these dots here that definitely make alien appearance.
Yep.
That's just cool. I love that font.
Thank you. Yeah, it worked out really well.
So this is the holofoil cover for the trade paperback. Another $10 and it reflects light back at you.
Yeah. I hate that it has to be that much more expensive, but quite honestly, it's like $5 or $6 more to have a holofoil cover put on it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
it costs money to have that. I don't even know the process for putting it on there, but I know that it's more expensive than just running it through the printer.
Yeah. The printer told me it was a pain. So so they charge more. And I'm like, well, I'm going to sell one.
Because it's not just that the cover is all foil. Sometimes it's like, it has to fit in. If just your logo was foil, good Lord, that's got I don't even know how they apply that really, but I've seen it done.
I've seen it done. Yeah.
But to make up for the $10, you're also getting the trading cards and the silicone bracelet with this too. So keep that all in mind, and the trade and the digital version and the bookmark. So, and apparently 4 people have thought that it was worth getting.
I throw a couple of extras in there for them.
Ooh, mystery cover here.
Well, we actually have the art. If you just scan down a little lower there in the body, you'll see that right there is the art from Kane and White for the Kane and White exclusive cover. So I'm waiting for the colors to get back, and I will have a mock-up of that cover done like I did the other 2, and throw some new graphics in there. But that is the Kane and White cover.
He is very, very talented.
He really is. He really is.
And this again, this is the art that I used for the thumbnail tonight. So I was trying to grab something that was not multi-paneled, so I could, because I was working on a rush. I was like, get this done. Yeah. So this is the Trash Day cover C. Again, digital trade paperback version, bookmark, trading cards, and bracelet. But it's Kane and White. He's costly, so
So I do throw in the trading cards and the bracelet for those, just because they're a little extra, and it's not a big deal for me to throw those in for those people, because I want them to have some good value.
Well, more people wanted Kane and White's artwork than wanted foil, so that tells you that talent outpaces flash every time. Every time. Now, we do have the Collector's Pack B holofoil cover. Now, what is all of this? This is
so you get the mini posters, the classic set of mini posters. You get the trading cards and the bracelet, the bookmark, but you also get the trading cards. You also get the sticker pack. And then I throw a couple extra things in as we go. So one of the things that I like to do, and some people that have followed me and been a part of my campaigns on Kickstarter have learned that I like to add extras on. And so I'm doing the same thing. So but I'm doing something a little different this time. Instead of just giving everybody the extras, I'll throw something new into the collector's pack, or I'll throw something new into the ultimate, or I'll add on something with the posters. I'll add on something with the stickers. And that way, if you have that pack already, that particular tier, or you have that perk added into that tier, then it'll add into that. So instead of everybody getting everything all the time, it's you might spend $55 on the collector's pack B for the holofoil, and you might think, okay, I'm just getting those items, but by the end of it, there's going to be more stuff in there. So
Sure. Tarks9's in the chat says, hello, everyone. Luke Stone Hybrid's a great series. Can't wait to jump on the campaign. Tarks, jump on it tonight. We've already had one person jump on it tonight, and they got something special. So I'm going to commit Luke to doing that for everybody who gets in tonight, because he doesn't work for me and I can do that. And
anybody that jumps on tonight, I will. I think Tarks is I think he's planning on going in next weekend, is I think what he told me. He's planning on going in next weekend.
Gotcha. So, well, then next weekend, I can't say that you'll get a sketch card like he's doing for BAP2 tonight. So you're getting stickers done. Where are you getting your stickers done at?
Sticker Mule. Mostly. I have some stickers done from some other people that actually do vinyl stickers and things like that too. But so I'm either doing Sticker Mule, or I've got someone that makes stickers, and I might just go ahead and pay them instead of paying the larger company to do it. So
Sticker Mule is, well, we go there.
They make good stuff.
They do make good stuff. In fact, we have a whole stack of these, and they're holofoil. I've given these. I will send out 2 of these to anybody who sends a self-addressed stamped envelope to us at Critical Blast at 1097 Prestwick Drive, Belleville, Illinois 62221. We get your envelope in the mail. I say we'll send you a sticker. We'll always send you 2 stickers because we want you to give one to somebody else, and that's how we use you to be our advertising machine. But what I like about them is that our badge is a circle. That's everything's going to come out of circle. And you look like your stickers were the covers. So they were the rectangular thing.
Well, I have one rectangular, one square cover. That's a holofoil. And then the other are die cut. So I have a standard Trash Man that's die cut. And then all the chibi stickers that will be added into the pack are all die cut as well. So
yeah, that's the thing I was going to say, is that they do the die cut thing, which makes me wish I had a fancier kind of logo, because they've been doing the keychains now, the acrylic keychains. But the one I got from Jim Ballant for his, if I can find the camera here, for his Kickstarter, they do it really tarot. They die cut that. And now, of course, not just the keychain that I was holding up here, but they're starting to do the lapel pins as well. Sticker Mule is always looking to make a buck. And every time, once you bought something from them, you will always find an email saying, hey, we're trying something new here. You want discount, like 60 for a penny? I was like,
sure, I'll take 60 of anything for a penny.
It's always insanely cheap, but yeah, it's fun to go with that kind of stuff. And for any Indiegogo person, they should look at companies like Sticker Mule and Banner Buzz to get their tchotchkes, as well as their the stuff that they want to take to conventions and give away and set up their table and look nice.
And the other cool thing, most of the stuff that I've got is already printed. So there's only a couple of things that I'll have to get printed before I do fulfillment, because I got everything for my conventions and they didn't happen. So
yeah, I'm same boat, man. I've in addition to all the Critical Blast stuff I also write for another company. I write for the Destroyer books, all the Remo Williams stuff. So I've got boxes of Remo Williams books that were ready for the sci-fi conventions this year that we didn't go to. So I'm like, well, they'll be good next year. They're books. They don't go stale.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So Citizen Hells, thanks for coming into the chat here. Appreciate you being here. How dare you? Greetings, folks. And BAP2 loves the Critical Blast stickers. Yes, we sent you some. So proof that we fulfill our Indiegogos that cost us nothing and cost you stamps. But let's get back to this Indiegogo set going over here. We got the Collector's Pack C. Now this is Collector's Pack C. This is the Canaan White Collector's Pack. So obviously the cover's not on the book yet. It's a representation. It looks like the same one that was above, the 55, but for $5 more instead of foil, you've got the Canaan white cover and all the same set of goodies.
And that's how that works. Each tier is the same. It's just 5. It's with the exception of the first one where it would have been a 30, 35, 40. We're doing 25 for it. So it's so we can get that in people's hands faster.
Yeah. And again, 25 is an excellent entry rate. So the Ultimate Collector's Pack. Now okay, you say it's the Ultimate Collector's Pack, and then there's another Ultimate Collector's Pack. Come on.
Well, no, I said the Collector's Pack and then the Ultimate Collector's Pack. So A, B, and C. So all the each cover has its own collector's pack and then Ultimate Collector's Pack. You get there's going to be another set of mini posters that I'm going to be unveiling in a week or so. That's going into that Ultimate Collector's Pack. I'm doing a bunch of homage covers. And so we're going to make those into mini posters, and that set will go in there. Plus you get the t-shirt, and then we're adding a couple of other things into that pack as well. So
yeah, t-shirts are expensive. So I definitely understand the jump there, which wasn't really that much of a jump, but it'd be cool to have a t-shirt. Then pack B is going to be the foil cover with all the goodies. Pack C will be the Canaan white cover. We got one claimed on the first one, so that's cool. Somebody's getting a t-shirt. That'll be cool when you're set up at a con and somebody walks up wearing that.
I love that. Now here's something cool that we're doing. I typically work entirely digital, and I've been able to keep this under wraps. Some of the pages, a few of the pages in anticipation for this, I've printed off the blue lines of the layouts, and I've hand penciled on artboard. So I did my layout the way I would traditionally do, with my layout artist. I would go and kind of refine a little bit, and then I got that printed off, and then I did my pencils. And so we have two. I will have a third one eventually that's going to go up, but these are probably the two that's most popular. And so I have these two that are available. So this page, which was the first kind of transformation page, and that's the inks. That's not the pencils. I didn't have a good scan picture of the pencils. So
okay.
So that's the inks. So I'll be adding little pictures here or there inside of the campaign as we go, though. So, and then this other page that was done. And so you actually get your choice of cover with those. And so when prompted, you'll be able to choose which cover you want, cover A, B, or C. Oh, cool. And then you get that, and then you get the artwork. Plus, if you want all the other stuff, you can add those in as add-ons.
And then there's the super box.
The super box, which it doesn't come with the original art, but it comes with everything else. So I'm throwing floppies.
All three covers.
Comes with all three covers, comes with everything that we get, all the posters, all the swag, every add-on that so we're going to be adding another set, the panoramic connected covers. Those will automatically go in there. There might be a possibility that we throw in the homage covers on an actual set of floppies. If we decide to make that a thing, then those will automatically go in there. So it's like the ultimate box. You get basically everything.
Okay, homage covers, homaging to what?
Some of my favorite covers over the years.
Okay, so to be determined yet.
I'm in I've got one or two of them done, and I've got 3 more to draw. So I have to get those done so the colorist can get those on Tuesday or Wednesday. So
gotcha. So not saying what they would be, but something recognizable, like the top Spider-Man 300 or something, or
yes, maybe a 181 Hulk. That kind of stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Stuff that you will recognize.
Very cool. Very cool. So I just refreshed it. I've only sold you one, but I feel like I've contributed now. So
yeah, that's awesome.
And by the way, whoever is on the show and they end up funding afterwards, I take credit, even if it was like 3 weeks after.
Hey, we're not too bad. I mean, we're nearly 50% funded. I really would have liked to have been 50% funded. I don't know, obviously the first day, but that's I'm being silly. What's
the track record on something like that? I mean, about what point do you usually see 50% funding?
Well, if you can get the kind of the rule of thumb is if you can get to three quarters of the not 3/4, 1/3 of the way funded by the end of the second day, within the first 48 hours, you'll be fine. and I was 3/4 of the way, and I'm not 3/4. I was 1/3 of the way funded. So
you're on track.
I'm on track. Yeah. To be, especially to have a goal like this of 45, of $5,000. And the first stretch goal, the first stretch goal is 8,000. So I'm like, we're really planning ahead. So we have 2 stretch goals that are financial based. One of those is, I
think I quit scrolling too soon. Because I got past all the packs, and then I was like, yeah, okay.
There's some art. It's just average looking art. The story is better than the art.
It's very, very good looking art, actually.
I appreciate you saying that.
This is because art is what draws me in. It's granted I have my favorites, but if it's look at that, you're going to send it out on a Gemini mailer, being all professional and stuff. Come on.
Well, we run a publishing house. We're not half-stepping this. And here, just so that you guys understand, between the founders of the publishing group of Terraform Comics, we've funded and fulfilled more than 25 campaigns. So we have a track record of funding and getting product out to people on time. So yeah,
absolutely. And so that goes speaking a lot, because there have been a lot of people who've been burned from first-time campaigns, and one person screwing up their first campaign does more than just screw that up. That screws up 18 other people's second-time campaigns, because now crowdfunding is where I lost this money. I'm never doing that again. So they don't take the risk on somebody else's work that does fulfill and comes through.
Yeah.
So here's the stretch goals. For $8,000, we get 12 more pages of content from guest creators. Do you have those guest creators lined up?
I do. They're already starting to work on it. So I've got a guy named Brian K. Morris working with artist Eric Hawkins. You might recall, I don't know if you know Brian, but Brian normally writes prose, and he's starting to get into comics. Eric Hawkins is responsible for the Zombiful World of Oz, as well as a few other things. He and Brian worked on a story for Spencer Spooks. And so they've done some work together, really good work. And so they're doing a 2-page story. I've got Meredith Logren, who's part of our company, Terraform Comics, who's done a 2-page story that I'll be doing the art for. I've got a guy named Todd Oltmans, who is working with Nicholas Mueller to do a 2-page backup story. Plus, Todd is also writing something that I'll be drawing. I've got Raj Mahan, who just is getting ready to wrap up a campaign on Kickstarter. Very successful, Mojo Rising. And then he is writing something with artist Jim O'Reilly, who is an amazing artist. And so those are the guest creators that we have lined up so far. So
very cool. And then for $10,000, every physical backer copy gets the hybrid Sons of God role-playing game, Quick Play.
Yes. So I'm working with a guy named Nicholas Tockard, who develops role-playing games. And I said, hey, I interviewed a couple of people to try to get this story into development and role-playing. I've always wanted to do that. And so I met with him. This guy was in love with the Hybrids universe as much as I am, which is saying a whole lot. And he has taken the world that I have created and put mechanics to it so it's completely playable. And so we have the quick play that's ready, and we're just basically just putting it into for pre-press, basically stuff, setting up the pages to be printed. And if we can hit 10K, we'll be able to pay for that print run and all the work that's going to go into it, and then be able to get a copy of that to everyone. But we're also going to unlock it as a perk, and the plan is to make that really cheap, so you can get as many copies as you want. We're hoping about $2 to $5 to be able to set that price point, because the idea is that we would be sitting here in a room together playing a game, and you would have a copy and I would have a copy and everybody else would have a copy, because there's pre-made characters in there. But the really cool thing is early next year, we are going to go ahead and launch the full compendium, like the entire game manual. So you're going to be able to build your hybrid from scratch, and with all the mechanics. Basically, you'll be able to go through the process that I do when I design a new character. So there's rules to it. Most people don't realize that, but I put rules on it for myself. So. Oh
yeah, I've talked with other creators who've played some of the role-playing games that I've played. Way back in the day. Champions was a great superhero role-playing game. Yeah. And they say that they use the book to roll up the characters and create their characters, because there's so many cool power sets and personality quirks and traits in there that it really helps them to develop something, rather than just pulling it out of the air and, not thinking about, what impacts what when it all gets combined together.
Yeah.
Now this is something cool. I don't think I've seen this on Indiegogos before. I've seen, the dollar stretch goals in Kickstarters and Indiegogos. But this is backer goals. So this is if you hit a certain number of backers.
Yes.
And this is why that number is important at the top.
So if people came by and just literally donated $1, like it literally, and people don't realize how much that helps. If you just go in and just say you don't want to buy it, but you want to donate $1, that would add to that number, but it also helps in the algorithm. So it pushes the campaign up to the top as in the searches. But for me and for a lot of the people that I work with, especially with the Terraform folks, our biggest concern is not necessarily the dollar amount that we make, but it's really the number of people we're able to impact with the story and to be able to engage with and get the story in their hands. And so what we wanted to do was set certain backer goals. So starting at 75, we unlock the first sticker that's going to be added in. And that is the chlorine chibi that goes really nice next to the trash man chibi.
I like the chibis.
I do too. They're cute. A friend of mine, Joe Spicer, the guy, actually the founder and owner of Starcross Comics, the company that I left to start Terraform, actually did these for me. So we're still on good standings and, and wish the best for them and vice versa. And so I was like, hey, I need more chibis. And so he did a great set of chibis for these.
I think I've talked to somebody from Starcross in the last several weeks here. Somebody else was doing a crowdfunding. I think they were part of Starcross, and I can't recall what they were doing, but it was it was a Christian-based comic book, and it wasn't Dominion because they're doing their own thing. It's also
Tribulation Task Force.
That's the one.
Yep, Bill. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I knew the name was ringing a bell with me somewhere there.
Yeah. And so then I have another backer goal is at 100. We give a bunch of digital PDFs away from other creators. So you get a whole big bundle. At the next backer, I believe it's 150. You get the other sticker. Gets that sticker. Yep. And that's Bone. That is Chlorine's little brother.
He's the skateboarder.
He's a skateboarder. Yeah.
He reminds me of King Rad in Rick Veitch's Brat Pack.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read that. A lot of people
no.
haven't, but it was a very dark take on the industry through the eyes of sidekicks.
And then at 200 backers, I'll be adding a special poster. So I have a few posters, a few pinups over the course of the last couple of years that have come in. And so I'm going to pick my favorite out of that and stick that in there as an extra poster that gets unlocked. So I still haven't revealed that one yet. I will reveal that one probably once we get to the 150 mark. And then at 250, you get the last character from the Canaan White cover, which is Ion. So that's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, you want to get to 250 because you want to get a set of all of these.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's my goal. I know it's a high and lofty goal, but the last campaign I was a part of on Kickstarter, we got 278 backers. So I think 250 is possible. Like I said, we're just 10 days into the we're 10 days into it.
You've got 20 days left. So yeah, easily attainable, very easily attainable. Everybody get out there and jump on this thing because it's already, it's a done deal. There's nothing you're going to be waiting on. It's going to be a very large book. You're going to get a big read for your money.
It is a flexible goal, and we decided to do that because, all the work's done. We're going to be able to print and fulfill however many people back the project. So, though we're looking for those higher numbers so that we can do some really cool things that we want to do. Obviously, those things are going to be unlocked at those numbers. We're gonna make it happen no matter what because we've got the power of Terraform Comics behind us, so that's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we're right at the 1 hour mark, and we got to cover the entire campaign. And I know that you just came off a 2 hour stint with the coach.
Well, an hour. Yeah, an hour. I think it was like an hour and 20 or something like that. But.
So you would probably like to go wet your throat down a little bit now and
It wouldn't be bad, actually.
and maybe do some work on some comic books.
Yeah, so, I've got a 4-page ash can I still need to finish up for the Voodoo Nations project that I just that I'm the artist on, and then got a little writing to do, and yeah.
All right.
And I've got some homage covers to draw.
Yes, you do. All right. Well, that being the case, we're going to let you go for the night. And Luke, we appreciate you being on here. Glad you answered the call when we said, hey, we don't have anybody to talk to tonight. Every time we do that, it starts filling up. So tomorrow night is the LCS guys, which is our bi-weekly show with the local comic shop owners from around the country. It's basically a gripe session about, what Diamond screwed up this time around and what's selling and what's not selling. We'll be having special guest Mike Barron join the crew to talk about stuff he's doing. And then Monday night, we will have the Chenoo will be on with Graham Nolan, or is it the other way around? Graham Nolan will be on with the Chenoo. I don't know. We're going to be talking about the Chenoo. And, if you've got a comic book project out there, or if you have any other kind of entertainment projects out there that you would like to talk about, hit us up on our DMs on Twitter at criticalblast.com. We're open to talking about anything that's in the pop culture entertainment industry, and we don't care if you're Comicsgate, anti-Comicsgate, don't know about Comicsgate, just starting out with comics. We'll talk to anybody about the projects. So
yeah, just good comics, right? That's all we care about.
Just good comics. That's it. So with that being said, Luke, go draw some comics.
Thanks. Have a good one.
We'll talk to you later. Hi. Thanks for stopping by for another Critical Blast video. The internet is a big place, and we know there are lots of other places you could be other than here, and we appreciate you being here immensely. If you enjoyed this kind of content, we hope you'll return for more. If you click the subscribe button, you'll get a little notification of when we produce new video content. If you would like to help the channel out, there are many ways to do so. Just visiting our main hub, criticalblast.com, will do wonders. But if you're more of a show me the merchandise type of person, there are links in the description of this video to our t-shirt shop, as well as links to Amazon for the books we publish under the Critical Blast Publishing imprint, including the urban fantasy anthology Gods and Services and the YA superhero novel Bulletproof by Stephen J. Mitchell. Thanks again for visiting this